because I've been that facing your childhood trauma, accountability. Hey guys, welcome back to Knowledge with Kah.masi. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel dedicated to growth and development, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and of course financially. If you do like my content, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. In today's video, I'll be talking about a number of things that I learned at the age of 20. Some of them I already knew, but a number of them it took a little bit more wisdom and understanding to fully comprehend what was expected or what is expected to be understood. So I do have my notebook with my pointers. I will not be giving you a code because in order to have a smooth transition, they will not be in the order that they are in the book, and I want it to be as simple and understandable as possible. On the list is time does not heal all wounds, it sinks them into your subconscious. Alright. There were times and instances where I was not around specific people, in specific places, doing specific things that did not aid in my triggers being active. And as such, I felt like, okay, I had moved out of that stage. That wasn't the case. I was not around the things that enabled me to feel like I needed things to work on. I was not exposed to my triggers. As such, I felt that there were none. Until it came to a point where I was exposed to almost all of my triggers at once and realized that I did not heal or outgrow a number of these things. I was just not in the environment for me to see that, okay, I'm still gonna have to go through this. So it's not about time, but doing the work that is required. Now, a way to really heal is to do what is referred to as shadow work. Now, for me, shadow work is about experimenting and exploring the aspects of myself that I'm not pleased with, comfortable with, or that I would not like the world to see, but still affects me consciously and subconsciously. Now, the thing is, we all have somewhat of a past, and the past cannot be changed. Even 5 seconds ago is a past, so it is all about making meaningful decisions. But what do we do when the foundation of our decisions are not meaningful? We have to be open and accountable and accept that things have gone on that we are not pleased with, but that we now have the opportunity to not do those things again through learning from the mistakes that we had, or the mistakes that we made. Not the mistakes, but the missteps. I just said it will take a lot of accountability and accepting that things have happened. Some were within your control, others were not. It takes a lot of self-reflecting and understanding that you're imperfect, and it took me a lot to actually be able to face myself. I'm not through, but I have grown so much through shadow work. I have 2 videos on this channel about shadow work. I'll be linking them below. Now, what shadow work does, it is a way of highlighting your childhood trauma, your insecurities, your self-worth issues, your self-esteem issues, your self-love issues. Now, as I said before, these could have been rooted from childhood trauma, which have a huge impact on our lives. A lot of times we omit the fact that because this happened to us a long time ago, it will not affect us. These things affect us without openly knowing that, okay, because this happened to me as a child, I have this perspective of life. The only way to have a really successful shadow work journey is to first acknowledge that there are aspects of yourselves that you're not pleased with, that you have outgrown, or that are still weighing down different aspects of your life. Maybe a peace, maybe a solitude. If I'm talking too fast, there are 3 longitudinal dots on the right side of your screen. You can tap on it and either speed it up or slow down the video. As I was saying, so it takes a lot of accountability to know that, listen, I put myself through some of this and know I have to fix it. So through this, it requires a lot of self-reflecting, a lot of patience, a lot of dedication. It requires a lot because you gain a lot. It grants you peace, and you need to understand that healing and shadow work is not an overnight thing. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a journey. It's an endless journey. And how I know that it's an endless journey, there were times when I felt like I was healing because I was. But what would happen is that I would have it's called a relapse. I think it's called a relapse, where everything that you feel like you've healed from comes back rushing in. And this is actually a test. You know, you have to continuously test yourself to see how far you've grown. If you can't pass stage 1, that means the foundation of whatever you're doing is not enough, is not accurate, is not steady, and is not firm, in one of the words you want to use. And I had to learn that because there are times I was wondering, am I really healing or am I just pretending? But the truth and in fact is I was healing, but it required a lot of accountability, taking responsibilities for the parts that I played in whatever it is that affected me, or whatever it is that I did that affected others. It takes a lot, as I said, because it requires a lot. It takes time, patience, understanding, dedication, determination. The shadow work helps to highlight that the past cannot be changed. What I've done voluntarily or involuntarily, I cannot rewind time, and even if I could, I might change the outcome of today, and that would make any sense because maybe then I'll have something to pay back for. For me, it's about understanding that look, I have here and now, and I can only worry or I don't want to say stress, but stress over the things that I know have control over. Yes, 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 yes. Me know. It is way easier said than done because sometimes I personally feel like okay, if I was in charge, I would do a way better job. But the truth and the fact is, we are limited to what we see. Our perspectives are limited to what we see and what we experience. So we see what we want to see, no care what in front of me. We always see what we want to see. And that's just a fact of life. Now, learning to let go is a tricky thing for me because I've learned that there are some things that you need to let go, while there are other things that you need to be extremely patient with. I still don't know how to always distinguish. There are instances where I do, but most of the time I do not. You got your vehicle. Now live close to the road, but you still got your vehicle. And this is the thing. If you don't let go of something, you don't allow or create space for new things. It's like common practice of mine. I will wear one set of the draw and continuously wear it, and when them finish, me not get rid of them and give them away. But as soon as I get rid of them or give them away, I get new clothes. So if you hold on to things, it obstructs the natural flow of life. It's like a fish, the river is going down and the fish is swimming up and the river keeps beating the fish. You will be that fish because I've been that fish. The river is going this way and I'm the fish going this way, so the water keeps beating me. So I'm obstructing with the flow of nature. And when you do, you throw yourself out of balance. So things don't seem in place and neither do you seem centered. Yeah, I've been that fish. Don't be that fish. Flow with life. But as I said, it is way easier said than done, especially when you're not in a very reliable environment. You will kind of in a sense, what would I say now? Feel like if you don't do it right the first time, then that's a failure. And this leads into the next point. Failure is not always bad. Failure sometimes grants us the wisdom that we need to actually achieve what we want because the path that we were on initially was not as beneficial as our supreme being or the universe saw that things were supposed to be for us, right? So with failure, we are able to learn what to do and what not to do. Failure is somewhat of a warming up. Me not say if you can pass something and fail it, don't tell an I promise me never tell her that. What I'm saying is there are times when you have to fail. Failures are humbling points for us. It don't have to be extra to be humble. Just like how I was that fish and the river I go this way and me go that way. Life humbled me to understand that look, there are things that you will have no control over. I might be working for an A, but in the back of my head I know that I can get an A plus or an A plus plus. And in order to not limit my mind, I have to fail so next time I put in all of the effort and all of the work to do what is required. Sometimes we're so relaxed that we have to fail. We feel like we're going 1,000, but we are going 100 out of what we can achieve. And life is like, no, you need to achieve more. You don't want to fail, make you fail, so you push yourself past the limits that you have already set. And it's not only about grades, it's about life on a whole, it's about expectations. It grants us wisdom, and we need wisdom, and we cannot stay at the same place that we are at today and be there tomorrow. That don't make no sense. That's not growth. And when we get comfortable, failures are there to wake us up to say, listen, you've been here for a year and you need to grow, you need to elevate. So yeah, we have to kind of make you shake up and feel bad a little bit about failure. Failure actually shows us strength. That we don't have to have it all together. What do I mean by this? There will be instances where you're comfortable, so you don't have to push yourself past the limits, as I said before. But what you should pay attention to is being able to work through the failure, being able to work when you're not motivated, having to have the discipline or the strength to stand up for yourself and say, listen, this is what I want, these are the things that I have to change, and even though I'm failing, this is not the time to sit down and cry about anything. This is the time to push and get what I want, and then my ball after all of them go through, right? So failure opens the avenue to say, oh, we're strong. I'm not at my best, but I'm able to push myself to say, all right, no, say me have to do this. And it helps us to show us that we don't have to have it all together. Having it all together makes us comfortable. All right. So let's get into habits. What I've really understood or had to really shift about habits. I do have a video on habits and it does work, but this is another approach in case those steps do not work. I'll also link that video below. Habits are not shaped or formed based on how long you do something, but how frequent you do it. Alright, you're confused, don't let me explain. Now, the thing is, I might set out and say, okay, I'm going to read a book. My goal for this week for reading is 5 hours, and I might do that 5 hours in one day, right? However, if I divide the 5 hours over the 7 days, that's like 42.8 into 300, because 60 minutes make an hour. 60 times 5 are 300. So we can run it to 43 minutes. So I'll spend 43 minutes each day. That will be 7 days reading. My body and my mind will get used to me reading 43 minutes a day. I wonder if you want to see the difference, right? Let me show you again. You read once, you can't break it down a habit 4 times for the month. However, if you do that same habit every day for the month, your mind starts to condition itself to say, okay, this is what I'm expected to do today. I'm expected to do 43 hours of reading instead of spending one day to do 5 hours of reading. Still amounts to the same time, but it helps to shape and condition the mind differently. Book that I would suggest you read is Atomic Habits. It's really good, really, really good. I would suggest that you read that book. It provides insights to shaping different habits, how to deal with addictions and how to get rid of addictions. There are some things I cannot say here. We're trying to break habits and face failures and let go of the past and move with the flow of life and do your shadow work. You have to accept that things will be hard, right? Because what it does, it braces you for what's to come. So what I do is I tell myself that something will be 1,000% hard. So if it comes at 100, and initially I thought that 100 would be difficult, I was planning for 1,000. So 100 just come and it just blow off like breeze. It meant nothing, even though I had to put in work. So when you accept things, you have already started to change how your mind perceives things. And yeah, you have to tell yourself, so life is rough, but me rougher. You tough, but me tougher. You strong, but me stronger. You are pushed, but me resilient. So if you come with something else. Now imagine if you didn't have these hiccups. I think people believe that life would be fun, but life would be boring. Let me show you how. If you're always used to having something, there's no peak moment, there's no bleak moment in this one. I think bleak moment. Things will always just be on a flat for you. You will have things and you waste them because you don't know the value of anything. But as soon as you have these things and you waste it and you say, oh, so that's how it works. You understand the value of things. You put a bit different meaning on things. You start to say, okay, if I waste this, this will happen. So it gives you a different insight and like to say, alright, there are certain things that I have to value, and with hardship I learn lessons that I won't have to learn in the future when I have everything that I was working for. So I'm gonna end up wasting, I'm gonna end up having to start over. Having a plan B is not always as effective as we think, and I've learned this. Sometimes I have plan B, and as such we take the focus from plan A. So the energy and the time and the dedication and the execution that we should be planning for whatever plan A is, we say, alright, we're not sure about plan A, but we're going to work on plan B. Mind you, I did say that failures will come and go, but there are instances where we did not have to fail, but because we were not fully focused on what we considered to be a priority, we were paying more attention and the intention to our, where were it again? Options. To our options. The focus has shifted and we are no longer interested in placing all our energy in plan A. So that's why sometimes plan A fails. Not because it was initially supposed to fail, but because we weren't as concentrated as we were supposed to be. So sometimes work on your plan A and forget to have plan B. Because mind you, if you're in a position where you only have one option or one priority, you're gonna make it work. Wrong or right? Right, you're gonna make it work because you know you don't have no other way for it. There's no ulterior motive to say, alright, if this doesn't work. So sometimes you have to narrow your focus to say, alright, this is the only thing that is there. Even if you have a plan B, and focus wholeheartedly on plan A to make sure the execution is as clean and clear and understandable as possible. And to me, plan Bs come from direction, where persons are more focused on the speed of achieving what they want instead of the direction. And I've learned over the past few months that direction is way more important than speed, because I could be going slow and I could be going left, and I'm supposed to go left. And I'm going fast and I'm going right, and now there I go heading down the gully because that's not where I'm supposed to go. But we're so oftentimes in a rush to not feel and experience the things that we are supposed to, and that leaves us having to go back either to square one or turning to plan B. Sorry if I'm kind of turning to plan B. Direction is way more important than speed, and with direction we're able to learn from each small step that we learn. We don't jump over anything. Our foundations will not be shaky, and if there's any help or assistance that we need or any loop, we will be able to identify the specific help that we need. I want to say a big thank you to anyone that has made it to the end of this video. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And of course, stay tuned for part 2, which should be released later during this week. Thank you.